If you or a loved one has been convicted in federal court and is now in jail, is in prison, and you're bringing an appeal, one of the big questions you'll have is whether you can get out of jail pending that appeal. There is. It's possible to do that. Let me explain a little bit how that works. You've got to show two things in order to get out of prison while the appeal is pending. First, you've got to show that you're not going to be a danger to anyone else and you're not going to run. The legal standard is you've got to show it by clear and convincing evidence. You've got to go to the same judge you were before during the trial, and you've got to show that you're not going to hurt anyone, you're not going to be a danger to anyone, and you've also got to show that you're not going to Paris. What clear and convincing evidence means, really, is you've got to convince the judge so there's not a meaningful doubt left in that judge's mind about whether or not you're going to be a problem. If you can do that, the second thing you've got to show is that you're likely to win an issue on the appeal, which is going to mean that you won't have prison time. So, for example, if you're challenging the conviction itself, you're saying that the judge just got it wrong, the jury got it wrong, I'm going to win this appeal, and when I win this appeal, I'm not going to spend any time in prison, that's the kind of issue you can bring. The problem is, of course, you're bringing that issue to the same district court judge who presided over the trial, and you're trying to convince that judge that there was something that the judge did that was wrong more often than not, and that can be a tough sell. The second part of that is you've got to convince the judge that whatever the error was mattered. So, for example, if you were sentenced to 5 years in prison, and your argument is I should have been sentenced to only 3 years in prison, they won't let you out of prison while you argue that issue on appeal. It's got to be something that's going to mean there won't be prison time there at all. If you can convince the judge or the Court of Appeals that that's right, that you shouldn't have spent any time in prison at all, then you can be released pending appeal. Otherwise, it can be a very difficult motion to win, but the option's out there, and that's one thing you can raise and try to fight if you want to avoid spending time in prison during the appeal.